If you've ever driven around Portland Avenue, and considering all the construction going on around Newport Avenue, it seems like everyone is, you've seen a series of apartments strangely named the officers' quarters.
It's actually right across the street from that 100-year-old mail post I told you about last week. So a viewer wrote in asking if, in fact, these were officers' quarters, and if so, when, and even more so, why?
World War II. America enters the war. As the war progresses, 1942, the United States Army, and specifically the Army Corps of Engineers, realizes that they need to fast-track training more combat engineers.
So the search went out across the United States for any place that could fit the bill, and the search quickly narrowed on Central Oregon.
They wanted specifically a place that they could look at that mirrored the conditions that these engineers would be facing on the European front. And so the Army Corps of Engineers established Camp Abbott in June of 1942.
Camp Abbott was 15 miles south of Bend, and many of us are familiar with the Great Hall in Sun River that it was constructed for.
But with the Great Hall comes a great deal of soldiers. Like, a great deal.
It was set up to train 10,000 soldiers at a time in 17-week training periods. 90,000 soldiers came through Camp Abbott from when it opened officially in May of 1943 until its closure in June of 1944. And guess what that created? A housing shortage.
Now keep in mind, Bend was only 10,000 strong at this point, so the population doubled every time a new round of soldiers came in.
So the government put out calls to everyone in the area with rentals and started getting to work on housing all those replacement engineers. You know, the guys who know how to build bridges in one place and blow them up in another.
The Army actually authorized $200,000 in August of 1943, specifically to build an apartment complex on the corner of 5th and Portland, what we drive by and see as the officers' quarters. And they built it lickety-split between August, the move-in time was December 1st for folks to be moving in.
Now, most of what the government built was never designed to be permanent, but they did come to some arrangements with locals to keep the ownership private, so they could be utilized to fill Central Oregon needs.
The officers' quarter was built with intention for it to be permanent, and so you see this moment where we know that you guys need this, we need it too. We know that the war isn't going to go on forever, but this is something that they can leave behind for the city of Bend as a permanent solution to an ongoing problem, that we're even still facing today.
And so here sits the officers' quarters. A little older, a little less polish.
But a shining example of how government and private citizens came together in a desperate time.
So it's kind of a cool remnant of that moment in time where, wartime funds were used to leave something lasting that outlived its need to serve the war.
For Central Oregon Daily News, I'm meteorologist Scott Elness.